If you try to buy a house today, you are stepping into a rigged financial arena where your opponent holds infinite leverage. Mainstream headlines suggest your spending habits or a lack of savings are the problem. The data tells a different story, pointing towards a systemic shift in who actually controls the property deeds. Historically, housing was a commodity purchased with local wages. When baby boomers were 28 years old, over 44% of them owned their own home. Today, that number for Gen Z has dropped to 38%, the lowest rate of first-time buyers ever recorded. Currently, baby boomers are the largest group of homebuyers in the country, making up 42% of all purchases. This demographic isn't relying on current income to win bidding wars. They are armed with decades of accumulated home equity, wealth that often goes untaxed, allowing them to easily outbid younger families. The foundational layer of the housing market has decoupled from what people earn.
Homes are now bought with pre-existing wealth, leaving a vacuum in the inventory for a new kind of buyer to fill. Popular narratives often point to mega corporations like BlackRock and Vanguard as the ones buying every home on the block. Federal data shows massive institutions account for only 1 to 3% of national purchases. Instead, they hyper-concentrate their capital, flooding Sunbelt markets with all-cash offers. This creates an inventory blackout in the exact high-growth neighborhoods where families actually want to live. The real giants hide just below these megacorps. They are mid-tier private equity firms and mass-scale investors who hide their identities behind anonymous LLCs. These entities use algorithmic sweeps, weaponizing data to identify and buy homes before they ever reach the open market. Over the last decade, these investors have quietly purchased over 4 million single-family homes. Working completely out of sight, these LLCs create an artificial scarcity that breaks the traditional supply and demand curve. Above the domestic firms, a pipeline of foreign capital is pouring into the residential market. Investors are using American dirt to park wealth, treating local neighborhoods as a safe harbor from volatile international economies. These buyers bypass local banks and 6% mortgage rates entirely. Because they aren't using local credit, their purchasing power is completely decoupled from local wage growth. This creates a mathematical chasm. A typical household trying to stretch an $80,000 income faces an impossible calculation against private equity operating with billions. To a massive fund, overpaying by $50,000 is just a simple rounding error. A family earning a median wage cannot win a bidding war against a billion-dollar fund. They are facing a mathematical lockout, regardless of their personal financial habits. By 2026, the institutional strategy shifted. Buying existing homes one by one was too slow for Wall Street, so they moved into ground-up construction. This is the strategy known as build-to-rent. Private equity firms are now constructing entire suburban subdivisions with an explicit financial mandate. Not a single unit will ever be sold to an individual. These neighborhoods look traditional, but they function as corporate fiefdoms. The goal isn't providing a path to ownership, but trapping a captive demographic into a lifetime of monthly yields. Projecting this out to 2035 leads to a neo-feudal state. In this society, the wealth gap is determined by a single factor: who holds a deed and who holds a lease. The American housing market is being converted into a subscription service, owned by the few and rented by the rest.